What's up, everybody? It's Dr. Shazetta. I hope that you all are doing well. Listen, I'm so excited about today's video, namely because I've been waiting about 2.5, 3 weeks to sit down and actually record it with you all. If you know anything about me, you know that when I pick up a new tool or a new toy, I want to open it and play with it immediately. But I was determined to do this unboxing video with you all, and I've just been traveling and haven't had a chance to sit down and do a proper unboxing and long form video. Today I'm unboxing the Ricoh GR III. Which is not a new camera to most folks. It's been around for a while. It's still a very popular camera, but it is unique for me to be picking this camera up again because I've owned it before and I sold it because I didn't like it. Typically, I've been a 50mm shooter, and so the 28mm focal length was a real challenge for me when I picked up this camera the first time, particularly because it was in the heat of COVID, and so my traditional style of street photography, which is capturing people going about their day-to-day life, really wasn't an easy thing for me to do in Dallas during lockdown. There were just lots of empty spaces and places, and so I was struggling to really find inspiration at this particular focal length, and so I sold the camera. A year or so later, we moved to Washington, D.C. In mid-2021, and I saw the Ricoh GR III X, and I saw the focal length on that, and it wasn't 50mm, but it was closer, so I picked it up and I absolutely loved it. I carried it everywhere, did quite a bit of work with it, had some limitations, but it was in a good way. It stretched me quite a bit, and so I found myself just picking it up and carrying it wherever I went. But then I picked up for free, and I should have brought it over with me, the Canon S100. I found it in a recycle bin at my job, and the Canon S100, because of its small form factor, it's even smaller than the Ricoh GR III, became like this really fun point and shoot digicam that I was shooting with all the time, and I loved the look of the images that came out of it, and so I stuck with it for a while, and then I got the opportunity because I shoot like an M6 as one of my film cameras, and really as my primary film camera. I had the opportunity to pick up a Leica M10 at a really good deal, but I was a few dollars short on what I needed to purchase it. So since the GR III X was not being used as much, I sold it to help fund the purchase of my M10, and I instantly regretted it because the GR III X is just unique, and it served a particular purpose in my bag, and I wished that I had never gotten rid of it, right? And so I picked up the Leica M10, loved it for a while, found it to be a little bit heavy on my wrist, though, again, for my style of shooting. I've got small hands. I don't like to be uncomfortable when I'm shooting or when I'm carrying my gear. Loved the image quality, loved the look of and the feel of the camera and the images that came out, but I still wasn't 100% pleased and found myself reaching again for the Canon S100 over the Leica M10. So if I'm reaching for a digicam over the Leica M10, I've probably spent too much money on this piece of camera, and it's sitting on the shelf doing nothing. And so I started doing some research, and I picked up a Leica Q3 and was amazed by how light it was. Really, a Leica Q. I handled a Leica Q and was amazed by how lightweight it was. I called my local Leica store to see what they had in stock, and they happened to have an open box Q3 in the store at an amazing deal because it was an open box that had been returned. And so I picked up the Q3, sold the M10 again to help cover the cost of the Q3, and I absolutely loved it. Because the Q3 has a 60 megapixel resolution on the images, I can crop in fairly easily. I've got one of my buttons mapped to crop in at the 50 and the 70 and the 90mm lines, and so I think that's the way that I have it set. Forgive me if I have made that mistake, but I've got it set for that, and I can talk about my settings on my Q3 in another video. And so I began really having an appreciation for the wider field of view, and found myself leaving the Q3 on the 28mm focal length a little bit more often. I traveled just over a month ago to DR Congo, and I chose not to take the GR III because there's a lot of kind of resistance and unrest going on in the country, and I didn't want to set myself to be a target, particularly if we got stopped at any of the borders crossing over, for instance, from Rwanda to DR Congo. I didn't want to have to deal with any of my equipment being confiscated, and if it was something that was confiscated, I didn't want to care as much about it. And so what I ended up taking with me for that particular trip. I took with me the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I took with me the Sony RX100 V, and I took just my iPhone 15. And that was sufficient, but I did find myself longing for a pocket camera that I could hold on to that was unassuming, and really I wanted something with a zoom lens. And so I'm on the waiting list for the Leica Deluxe 8, but I also realized that there is still, or was still, a high power camera missing, pocket camera missing from my kit. The S100 is great, but it still wasn't going to do what I needed to do with the type of work I was trying to produce there while I was in DR Congo. And so I began the search again, looking for the GR3X, and they're almost nowhere to be found without being on a waiting list. And the same is true, right, for the GR3. I was going to pick up the GR3X and wait for it, right? And I saw a couple folks selling it for like $1,400 or $1,500, you know, supply and demand. And so prices have gone way up. But I chose instead to just keep looking and waiting and contacting my local camera store. And my local camera store here, which is Ace Photo in Ashburn, Virginia, happened to have one Ricoh GR III in stock at I think it was $10.98, and so it's $500 less than what I was finding it for online. And so I really wrestled. Do I want to pick up the GR3X again, or do I want to pick up the GR3 and really push myself to work on mastering, or at least becoming more comfortable with the 28mm focal length? When I'm traveling to places like DR Congo, and we were in the refugee camp, that wider field of view is really important to give context, at least in my opinion, to give context to the type of work that I'm trying to do, and to give context to those that I'm coming back to ask to support the humanitarian efforts that we're doing there. And I didn't want to have a big something around my neck. I wanted to have something that I could slide into my pocket, but that would give me crisp, sharp, high resolution images that I could use for print, that I could use for digital promotional stuff, and those sorts of things. And so I settled back on the Ricoh GR3. I still love the feel of this camera in my hand. I've still never felt a pocket camera that feels as good in my hand. Again, I have really small hands. My preference is to drop a little thin, adjustable wrist strap on this. I find the Peak Design wrist strap to be a little bit much for this, for my own personal use, but a small, thin, lightweight strap, and this works really, really well for me. I'm going to cut now to the unboxing, and then perhaps I'll hop back on for a few minutes, but I hope you guys enjoy. Listen, before we go to the unboxing, if this is a sort of content that you think you might enjoy, or that you have an appreciation for, or you've gotten some sort of value from this video when it's over, I hope that you'll hit the subscribe button, click that bell so you'll get notifications when I release new content. And again, if you're new to the channel, this is a place where, yes, I will do some gear reviews, but this is really a place where I work and do my best to bring all the parts and facets of who I am to the table. I'm not really concerned with choosing a niche right now, because for me, to neglect or deny any portion of who I am is to be disrespectful to all of who I am. And so today, we're talking about cameras. Tomorrow, it might be basket weaving. Whatever the case, I hope that you're enjoying it. Check out the unboxing real quick. So I'm super excited. I just picked up the Ricoh GR3, as I said a few moments ago. So doing a quick unboxing with you guys. Normal manual stuff. Well packaged battery. All right. Save that for last. Is anything else in here? Is part of the plug. Charger base, pretty cool. This actually plugs into here, or slides into here, I think. There we go. I rarely use these things, but there it is. I think that's everything out of the box. Move that out of the way for now. Then we have the actual camera itself. There she sits, the Ricoh GR III. Super excited about it. All right, I doubt that the battery has any charge on it, but it's worth a try. This way. Hey, we got lucky. There it is. There's our menus. We'll get those set up in just a second. I'm not going to take you all through that. So there it is, the unboxing of the Ricoh GR III. I was really excited to, I'm really excited to pick it up, and certainly more excited now that I've actually got it out of the box and can get out and do some shooting with it. I'll be working on a couple of projects in particular with this that I'm going to come back and tell you guys a little bit more about, but I've got one project in particular in mind that I'm going to shoot exclusively with this camera. I want to push it to its limits, but I also want to push me to my limits with this particular focal length, and so I'm excited. Hope you guys will stay tuned for share. And listen, let me say this. Supply and demand is a real thing, right? But when we are in this business, unless you're already just rolling and floating in money, sometimes it's easy to allow our impatience to overtake us. And so we pay more for something than what it's actually physically worth, not what it's worth to us. And no judgment for you on that, and certainly no judgment on those who are picking them up inexpensively, finding them in spaces, and then reselling them. But I want to say this to you. Find a way to strike a balance for yourself. I am a proponent of making sure that we don't go into intense debt, right? Big debt for our hobbies and for our passion work, because that takes away from our joy. I think anyway, takes away from the joy of doing the work is when we're carrying kind of the burden of the debt. So it may require a little bit of patience, may require a little bit of side hustling so you have like something to pull from. Also, though, requires just taking the time, building some relationships. And my experience has been that when I've done that, I've always been able to find and afford what I'm looking for at the time. All right, listen, y'all, I appreciate you joining here. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a comment down there. It helps YouTube throw me up in the algorithms. I hope you'll join me next time. Until then, we'll holler back at you now.